Hello, pup parents, and welcome to today's episode of the Perfect Pup Podcast. My name is Devin. In this episode, we're going to talk about the one, and in my opinion, only time you shouldn't train your puppy. So let's get right into it. Before we start on when you shouldn't train your puppy, I need to tell you a quick story. So I had the opportunity to live in another country for 2 years, and before I left, I had a small window of time to start learning the language of where I was living. I was living in the Philippines, and I had a small period of time where I was being taught the language. And when I got there, I was like, wow, I'm gonna be ready. I've done all this preparation. I've been putting in this work. And of course, as you can guess, I couldn't understand anybody. I mean, I would pick up every 1 out of 10 words or so. I had dedicated time each day where I was saying, you know what, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to study the language, and I'm going to, learn about how to write sentences correctly. And I'm going to learn about, conjugations and when to put pronouns and all those things, like the more technical side of learning language. I was going to have dedicated time each day. And in my brain, I thought, if I do this, if I take the time every single day, I'll see improvements, certainly. And I did that for a while, a month or so, and it was helpful, and I was making some progress. But then I started to realize I need to change the way I was thinking about learning the language. I was looking at it as, hey, I'm going to take this dedicated time. I'm going to really dive in and study the intricacies of the language and memorize words and, use quiz cards and the whole lot. And then I started to realize, hey, I have opportunities every single day to be learning the language. I am immersed in people who are speaking this language. I am immersed in the culture. I am living here. Every opportunity that I am outside and interacting with someone is in reality an opportunity to better learn the language. And as I kind of retrained my brain to say, you know what, the studying and the specific set aside time for learning the language is important, but I need to remember that every single day there are opportunities. And with our dogs, it's very similar when we approach training. We get a puppy and we start to think, you know what, this is overwhelming. There's problem behaviors. There's these challenges. I need to take dedicated time every day to be training my dog. And we often think, as long as I'm just doing these dedicated training sessions, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to, be able to work on the more technical things, work on sit and work on recall and work on, getting my dog to come to me, whatever it might be. And we forget that every single moment that we are with our dogs and interacting with them and they are interacting with their environment is an opportunity to train. So on that note of, when we shouldn't be training our puppies or dogs, in my opinion, and of course, there are caveats to this, but generally speaking, the only time you shouldn't be training your puppy is when they're asleep. When your puppy is asleep, there's not learning happening right now, right? They're resting, they're growing, all that good stuff. But when your puppy is awake, every opportunity that you have is an opportunity to train. And it's a little bit of a mindset shift where you go from, I'm going to do these dedicated training sessions. I'm going to take 20 minutes a day and I'm going to work on X, Y, and Z problem behavior or challenge that I'm dealing with my puppy. And those dedicated sessions are important. And it is important to, kind of have goals around that and say, I'm going to take time to do this for a certain amount of time per day. But when you kind of retrain your brain to think every moment is a chance for training. And let me tell you this. As pup parents, we often think about training a lot when we're in the beginning stages, especially that first 6 to 12 months of a puppy's life. We're thinking, okay, I got to be training. And once I'm done, or once I hit this, level of behavior for recall, or once my dog hits a certain age, I won't have to train as much. That is a mistake, in my opinion. And it is something that I fell into. I had that trap mentally. My wife and I, we thought, okay, let's just keep working on these specific behaviors and then we'll be able to not have to train as much, or, we won't need to do these dedicated training sessions. And you know what? I do think over time you will do less dedicated training sessions with your puppy or dog, but it's important to remember that every moment you have an opportunity to train. So there's a couple ways you can kind of make those opportunities more valuable and be able to succeed with the opportunities that are presented to you. The first thing is it's a very good idea to have treats throughout your home and on your person as much as you can. Having a high value training treat makes all the difference when working on training with your pup. And that's why I love Pupford's training treats. They're 3 ingredients or less, have less than 1 kcal per treat, and dogs love the taste. Be sure to check them out in all the different flavors, including beef liver, salmon, and even sweet potato. Head to pupford.com/treats to save up to 15% today. Of course, you want to keep the treats out of your dog's reach, but we have a kind of big mason jar full of treats on our main counter in our kitchen. And what that does is it allows us to say, hey, we hear someone come to the door, or my dog is barking, or, X, Y, and Z thing is happening. I have the opportunity to quickly say, you know what? I'm going to seize this opportunity, use it as a moment to train my dog, who is over 4 years old. One is 5, and I'm still finding opportunities to train throughout the day and finding times to say, hey, this isn't a dedicated training session, but I am using this opportunity to teach behavior. Because really, with how our dogs learn, a lot of it is, if you want to kind of boil it down to beyond how basic it actually is, it's, hey, how many times can you reinforce the right behavior that you want to have happen? And so if you have treats available and on hand, if you walk in by your dog and they're laying on their bed calmly, you can give them a treat and even start to say good place or good lay down or good settle or whatever you're using, right? And you're having these training moments even when you're not training, air quotes, right? Another thing that you can do, and of course that goes as well for when you leave the house. In my opinion, if you go outside with your dog, it's a good idea to have treats with you. Even if you're not going on like a training walk, it's good to have that at your, have that in your arsenal of tricks to use to get your dog's attention and gain focus and reinforce behaviors. And the other thing to kind of think about here of, finding those opportunities on a daily basis to train your dog, it's the real life moments is when the training matters the most. You can work on teaching your dog to go to their place and settle, for hours and hours and hours and have all this repetition and all this reinforcement. But if you never practice it when someone actually comes to your door, or if you never practice it when your dog hears something outside your door or outside the window, then you're not really training the situation that is causing the problem, if that makes sense. So that's why I think it's so important to kind of take our minds and say, training sessions are important for puppies. They're necessary. It's good to focus and learn on new behaviors and practice and do tricks and work on the things that are most challenging for your dog. But remember that every day and every moment that you are interacting with your dog, there is a chance to train. And I will say one word of caution on this, that our dogs are constantly learning, right? Just like us humans. We have experiences, we have things that happen in our environment, situations, and we create these associations, or we, are reinforced, or there's some type of punishment, and, every action has a consequence, that type of thing. It just like with us humans, it's the same for our dogs. So be aware that even when you're thinking, I'm not actually training my dog, or, I'm not in a training mode right now, your dog is going to learn from you. And sometimes that can be not what you want. For example, if you're laying on the couch and your dog barks and your response is to give attention, you may have just inadvertently reinforced the barking. And although you're not thinking, oh, I'm training my dog right now, you just, in essence, trained your dog that, hey, I bark, human gives me attention. You may have just reinforced that in a way you didn't want to. And now your dog may associate barking with being able to get your attention, and then demand barking may start happening more and more frequently. So it's something to think about. And I don't want it to stress you out because, life is stressful enough, and being a pup parent has its challenges, that is for sure. But if you can kind of trick your mind, just like I did with learning a language from, hey, I'm sitting down, I'm reading books, I'm trying to actually understand these things, versus every moment I have opportunities to learn how people are saying certain words, or learning the order that you're using, or learning what the correct response is to a given situation. If you can kind of have that mindset, like I did with learning a language with your dog, you're going to see improvements, because you'll be able to realize that you have a chance so often, in so many instances and in so many different cases, to reinforce good behavior, redirect incorrect behavior, and just really help your dog learn effectively. So I hope you found this episode helpful. I hope you're thinking of ways that you can reapproach, your mindset of how you train your dog. And again, keep treats at hand. Keep them, out available where you can get to them relatively easily throughout your home, out of your dog's reach. Take them with you when you go out on walks with your dog, when you go to the park, when you're even getting in the car with your dog, whatever it might be, going to the vet, have some treats available because it does make a difference, and you need reinforcers for your dog that are going to be strong enough. And many times we think, oh, I'll just praise. And that for some dogs, it works okay. But for many dogs, they need that strong reinforcer that comes with either treats or play. So I hope you found this episode helpful. I hope you are thinking of ways that you can better approach training your dog and how you are interacting with your new puppy or dog on a daily basis, and really thinking, you know what, when your dog's asleep, you don't need to be training them then, but every other time your dog is awake, it's an opportunity to be training your puppy or dog. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend, a parent friend, someone who just got a new puppy, whatever it might be. And if you have not already, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I read all of them. If you have recommendations, ideas for episodes, people you'd like me to interview, please leave a review and let me know. And other than that, we will catch you on the next episode.